Hello again, I am Jim Bob and welcome back to American Midwest. And well, this is my second attempt at doing episode 16, which is now actually episode 15. I did have a whole episode's worth of footage recorded, which it was around about 50 minutes of footage, but was actually closer to 6 hours of gameplay condensed into that, and I've lost it all. I've accidentally deleted all of the footage before I'd finished uploading, everything together. So all of that's gone. So I'll kind of bring you up to date with exactly what has happened on the farm since we were last here, because it's been a little while. First off, I had canola on these fields here, and that was harvested. And I cleaned off these two fields and was ready to start planting on those, and I was about to sort of clean this field off as well, because I believe that one needs cultivating. Let's just jump over here for a second if we can. Oh yeah, I'm inside the incinerator. Don't jump inside the incinerator. Let's find something we can get into. There we go. Right, let's just take a quick look over here. I think this field might need cleaning. Yes, it does. I can see the radish on there. So we need to cultivate field 22. On top of that, not only had I done all of that work there as well, but I'd also had a great demand for some sugar beets. So I sold some sugar beets. Not all of them. We've still got 29,000 litres or so in storage, plus obviously the stuff that we've got in pallet boxes up at the animal farm as well. But I did sell a big chunk of sugar beets to raise some extra cash. And then that extra cash got reinvested in expanding the orchard. So if we jump over here, you'll see there's a second row of trees in. And they were all sort of placed and then watered and fed with some manure as well. So there's quite a lot of stuff that you've kind of missed out on, unfortunately, because I was a bit of a muppet with my with my data management, and I deleted stuff before I'd finished editing everything together, and when I went to upload it, there was nothing to upload. So yeah, I feel a little bit stupid, and apologies for missing out on all of that stuff. I mean, it's been 2 weeks since the last episode went live, and I've had to scrap most of the footage that I had for planned for episode 16 to kind of bring up to date with all the stuff that's been happening since you were last here. So yeah, not my finest hour. Apologies for that. Episodes have kind of slowed down on this quite substantially, simply because of how long each of these episodes takes to put together. I mean, it's not just a case of 50 minutes of footage. It's usually a case of 4+ hours of footage, then all sort of edited down into a 45 to 50 minute video, and then from there, kind of edited and uploaded. And with spin tires going live and the West Coast going live, and trying to get that prepped, and then having to put that on hold because I just don't have time at the moment. And obviously the DLC for the Platinum expansion has gone live now. We've got that farm going, and I ended up starting Deutz Farm as well, because that was a nice quick and easy series, like we're doing with Estancia Lapacho. That is just literally pick up, record for 45-50 minutes, end, and then that's an entire episode. No editing really involved, maybe just pausing the recording for 5 minutes to cut a little bit of travelling out, but that's about it. So those episodes are much quicker and easier to put together, and I just haven't had the time to come back and really concentrate hard on this farm, because as you guys know, I am going to be moving house in the next couple of weeks. So I've had to spend time sort of finding somewhere else to live and getting it all checked out, and that's kind of set up now, and now just sorting out a date to move, and I've got stuff to pack, and I've still got other things going on, and then trying to maintain the channel at the same time. So this has just been, unfortunately, a kind of an unexpected and unintended casualty. But everything up here is pretty much the same as is. But we've had a huge load of mods go live since you were last with us as well, and that is enabling us to do some really good stuff with this farm. Now, obviously, the main theme of this farm was to try and do natural fertilization, not use artificial fertilizers or sprays or pellets or anything like that. Just use manure and radish, and that would be pretty much everything that we would ever fertilize with. And we've now had this wonderful fertilizer pack that's available for us, the liquid transport pack or the fertilizer transport pack. So this is what we get in it. We get the Garant multi-tank here, which is essentially the same as the one that we already have, except it's cheaper and double the capacity. This is absolutely perfect for our farm. This will hold water, fuel, milk, although that's more for the PC players than us, slurry, fertilizer, liquid, and digestate as well. So we can hold everything that we really would ever need to in this tank, and as I say, at double the capacity. It's going to make trips from either the BGA or our slurry tank up here at the animal farm down to our main farm considerably easier, because we'll be able to hold twice as much per journey. Then there's a fuel tanker only variant, again 60,000 litres. We're not going to bother with one of those. We don't need one of those. We have a fuel point at the farm. We have a fuel point up here as well, so that is kind of useless to us really, but it's part of the pack. There's the liquid trans pack, which is essentially an 8,000 litre version of this, so it can hold everything, but it's a nice small easy to use trailer for just small tractors and stuff. That's quite cool. And then there's this, which is a fuel variation of this one, and I really like this, but again, we have no real need for it, so we're not going to use that. And on top of that, we also have a brand new placeable that goes with that pack as well. And it's this, the liquid storage pack. This holds, let's see, just double check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1 million litres of everything. So 1 million litres of water, 1 million litres of slurry, of digestate, of fuel, and of liquid fertilizer as well. So this holds everything that we'll ever need. This is perfect, for our farm. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of upgrading of our mods and equipment. So I'm not 100% certain. I'm just going to jump down here again. I'm not 100% certain if we actually have anything left in these tanks. I might have emptied them by using them up. I think I do still have something in there. But first things first, we're going to get rid of the existing tank that we have, which is this one. So we're going to take this to the store, and we're going to get rid of this particular tanker and replace it with the new 60,000 litre variant. As I say, to be able to double our capacity, joyous. It's going to make refuel and resupply trips much better, to be able to haul twice as much per journey. And once that is done, we're then going to check and see if we've got any slurry left in those underground tanks that we put down, and if there is, we'll transfer it into the new tanker. Just whizzing around the corner a little bit too fast there. And if there is anything less, say, we'll pump it into this replacement tank that we're going to be hauling, so we can not lose it effectively. And then we're going to put down that new placeable storage. Actually, I need to take this back to the farm, don't I? Because the sell point's at the farm. We have got a big update for this map coming as well, which is another reason why I kind of held off a little bit on finishing episode 16. I got partway through recording it, and then found out that we had an update coming, and I wanted to find out exactly what was coming in that update. And that was obviously announced before on the forums before the DLC went live. So I'm assuming that the update has now been tweaked to include a sugarcane patch. There is actually I've had a few different people messaging me all asking, can we use sugarcane on this map? And at the moment the answer is no. Or at least at time of recording this, the answer is no. There is a listed sell point. If we look here, you'll see that we do actually have a sell point at the Denton Bakery for sugarcane, but it's kind of irrelevant. You can't actually plant any sugarcane at the moment, so it doesn't do anything. you have a sell point for a crop that you can't plant or harvest. So the map itself needs to be recoded to allow sugarcane to actually be worked on the farm, and I think that's going to be included as part of the new update for this map. What I do know about what's coming on this map is the fact that we are going to have not one, not two, not three, but 4 trains. I think Shu has taken, some of the criticism he's received about just how big this train line is to heart, and is splitting the rail line up. So we're going to have 4 separate trains. Now, I'm not entirely sure how he's going to configure that, but I've got some good ideas as to how those loops are going to get sort of squashed into new routes. Now, whether he's going to do 2 loops with a train on each loop going in either direction, or whether he's going to do 4 individual loops, I don't know. I guess we'll find out pretty soon, whenever that patch goes live. But yeah, we're going to get 4 new trains instead of just 1, and I did hear him say he's going to remove grass between certain fields as well. So I think between 23 and 24 the grass there is going to disappear. Between fields 2 and 3 the grass there is going to disappear. Not 100% certain exactly what he means by that, so that might mean that actually if I drive to the field I can give you a description or an idea of exactly what I'm talking about here. As we know, much to my chagrin, we can't plough these fields together without these tufts of grass staying here. So this stone texture underneath, that'll get turned into the worked ground, ploughed or cultivated depending on whatever state you leave it in. But these grass tufts will continue to grow through. Now, whether it means he's actually just removing the strips entirely and joining those fields together or not, I seriously doubt that's going to be the case. My understanding is that the actual grass texture, these bits of grass, these tufts that you see sticking up, I think that is what's going to disappear, and the stone texture will stay, and then you'll be able to plough that together into that field there and not have these grass tufts sticking up. That's how I interpret what he's written on the forum. Again, not 100% certain, but I guess we'll find out pretty soon, because that has been in testing for a couple of days now, so we should get an update on that pretty soon when it drops on the mod hub. So that'll be kind of cool. It's a shame we can't have a proper fix, if that is the case, that will actually make ploughing anywhere on the map easy and accessible. But having said that, if doing that requires a new game save, then I'm kind of fine with the little patch, instead, that will just remove those bits of grass from between those field groups. It's a shame, because there are certain fields I think could benefit from some resculpting. Let's see, field 10 in particular is one of those. Field 22 is another one I think that could benefit from resculpting. Well, definitely benefit from resculpting. We've got that massive headland there, but no space against the railway line at the bottom of the field, so you end up working from left to right or right to left, as opposed from up top to bottom, and vice versa, because of how close you are to the railway line at the bottom of the field. So you've got that massive headland there that you could just easily turn into extra field, but again, the grass texture doesn't allow us to do that. So we'll see. As I say, that mod should be getting updated pretty soon. Well, this map should be getting updated pretty soon. So we'll find out in pretty quick order, I would imagine. Right, what colour are the wheels on our truck? Are they greyed out or are they blacked? No, they're grey. So let's get our replacement tanker. Let's go with wide tyres, keep the colour of the rims, buy that, and there we go. We got 40 grand as a trade-in for an old trailer, so that must have been around 42 to 45 grand, brand new. We've replaced it with this one. We can't change the colour of the logo, which is okay, I'm not too worried about that. But it's only cost us 27 grand for something that's twice as big. Now, normally I'm kind of a little critical of mods that make things too easy, but in this instance, I don't think this particular mod is too much of an issue in that respect. Yeah, it doubles our capacity to, you know, I think something that's probably a little bit more realistic. Certainly a lot more manageable. And the price is a little low, but it's not too low that it's obscenely low. It's not like, you know, the the price of the Krona baler, which is like 12 grand for a square baler. It's just, that's filthy cheap. So let's check now and see if we've actually got any slurry left in these tanks that needs to be siphoned off. I don't think we do. Nothing in that one. Nothing in that one. No, they are both empty. Okay, that's what I expected. So now we need to, let's just turn the engine off, go into our owned vehicles and equipment, scroll across until we find those placeables. There we go. And we're going to sell both of these. They're not worth that much, as you can see. And how much, please tell me we can actually afford it, is the silo placeable. It's 25 grand. Yes, we can afford it. This is actually one of those mods that is a little cheeky. You know, 1 million litres of storage is fantastic. It's a little big. And the price is a little cheap. So this one's kind of a little cheaty, but, you know, I mean, it's so rare that I ever use something that could be considered cheaty. I'm not a massive fan of doing that on my farms. This is kind of an exception. But we're basically going to place this just here, like that. There we go. So now we have a nice big water storage tank here, which we probably don't need to use, to be honest. I mean, we have a water tower over there, which is free. We have a fuel tank here, which we don't need to use. We have a fertilizer tank here, which we don't need to use. But we do have a slurry tank here, which we will definitely be using. And, more importantly, we have a digestate tank here, which we will definitely be using. So that's really, really helpful to us, to be able to store both slurry and digestate here, right next to our, you know, our spreading equipment, and store in large quantities as well, and have a large scale transport system as well. That's really, really going to help us on this farm, massively help us. So let's see what else needs to be done. Well, I wanted to kind of get some apple trees in here as well, so I'm just jumping back up here, and I've had an idea. Now, I don't have the mod installed right now. I tried it out when it first came out and then uninstalled it again because I didn't think I'd have a use for it, but I've been thinking about our little grove over here, and you can drive in between both rows, you know, between these trees, straight down the middle kind of thing, and actually top up both trees per pass at the same time. I mean, obviously you have to do one at a time, but you can get to, say, here, and you can top up this tree with water and then this tree with water without having to reposition closer, or, you know, to one or the other. So just driving pretty much straight up the middle allows us to tag both of these trees, you know, as we move along. Each pair, both can be tagged with the water tanker, and then up to the next one, and so on and so forth. Now, what I've been thinking is creating some kind of little path in here, and I thought maybe use a cultivator and like a 2-meter plow or something, and just plow in a little 2-meter strip down here. And then I was thinking, there's a little 1-meter plow, a really small little 1-meter plow that just came out recently, and I'm thinking that could be perfect to make tire tracks. So we could come along here, and just off center we could put a little 1-meter strip in there, and probably even leave it with just a plow texture to kind of create that rut look. And then alongside it, just a little bit, you know, a little bit of space, have some grass in the middle, and then have another plow line running up there as well, and we'd basically have tire tracks kind of running up the middle of our trees. And then do the same over here, put some apple trees in just here, have some tire tracks in the middle, and then some more apple trees in just there, and we'd have a really, really nice little orchard which does both orange trees and apple trees, and has a nice little tire track route going up and down in between each set of trees. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a little play about with that, see if my idea works, and if it does, we'll then incorporate that into, you know, another episode of this in the future. So we have a little bit of work to kind of get caught up on as well. If we go back to our farm, the basic plan is going to be for us to plant soybean on these two fields, and then on these two fields we're going to plant sunflowers, and then on this field here, once I've run the cultivator over it, which we're going to do right now, we're going to plant some corn as well. So that's going to be the 3 crops that we're going to plant for this round of harvesting. And with the extra money that we're going to have coming in from our orchard over here, plus, you know, our cows, we're going to make some pretty nice money. Let's just take a look at our animals as well. You can see we're up to 144 pigs now. Need to top them up on water more than anything else. The rest of them are pretty okay right now. Cows are looking pretty good. You know, they're slightly, you know, misbalanced with their, you know, their feed troughs and their bars there, but we've got a good 2.5 days worth of supplies before they need really looking at. So I think we're okay with our animals for now. Instead, we're just going to kind of get stuff underway. So I'm going to get the seeder up and running. He's parked up waiting for us on the side of the field here. Let's get a worker going in here. Start planting our soybean. And then while he's doing that, we are going to jump out the way. We're going to go back into our Challenger and we're going to go cultivate field 22 and get that ready to plant some corn on it once we're done with our soybean harvest or soybean planting. And once I've finished cultivating as well, what I'm going to do as well is I'm actually going to take over from our worker and finish the planting off as well. So we'll be doing that manually. Let's go pick up our cultivator. Which is lurking in here, freshly cleaned and put away. Actually, how much slurry do I actually have still at the farm? Not much, as you can see. I've used most of it up. We've got about 12,000 litres in total, 11.5. So we desperately need to kind of get all that rebuilt and replenished. But we've got a nice little bit of time now until the next round of harvesting. Let's just see exactly where we stand in terms of our soil composition. This little strip here, for some reason, that didn't grow in as quickly as I thought it would. So when I cultivated this field, that ended up, you know, not having any radish on it at the time. So for some reason, I got a thin strip there which didn't get stage 1 of fertilization. This field's at stage 1, but it's about to be cultivated into stage 2. And then these two fields here, you can see one is at stage 1 already. The other one's at stage 0. But these have both just been planted with oilseed radish. So that will go to stage 2. That'll go to stage 1. And then, you know, we'll just have to do a little bit of weeding to kind of top these fields up when the time comes. So we're about 1 day staggered on these fields now. So our first 3 fields have had their 1 day's growth, which has given them oilseed radish. 2 of those fields have already been cultivated and now being seeded, and the other 2 fields have been seeded today with radish. Well, I say today, in-game today. So tomorrow, when we start to get the first signs of growth from our crops, we'll have oilseed radish that'll be ready as well to be cultivated on those other fields, and they will then be planted immediately once they're cultivated with sunflower. So we should only have a day's difference in growth. So once our once our first 3 fields are ready, our 2 soybean fields and this cornfield, once they're harvested and ready to harvest, we should be at stage 3 growth and 1 step away from being ready to harvest on the sunflowers. That's kind of the plan, because they were 2 steps apart before. I've tried to bring them a little bit closer, just so that it's easier for us to work them. So I'm going to carry on sort of cultivating away over here, get this done, and I will check in with you in a little while. I think we're almost halfway through this field now. Let's just have a quick look. Yeah, about halfway through this field, just under. But our seeder is almost done on field 24. Looks like he's on his last pass now, so probably gonna have to jump over and get that started on field 23 in just a second. So I'm going to finish this row, or this pass, and then jump out, switch over to the other tractor, and see exactly where we are. There we go. So we're about lined up where we need to be. Pretty close, actually. Let's make things a little easier on ourselves. Let's take this all the way to the other end, and then start field 23 at the same time as finishing field 24. I'll tell you what, if we do get that strip of grass removed between these 2 fields, I think I will end up joining them together. It'll just make things a little bit easier, I think, going forward. Seeing as we're going to be probably planting the same grains on these 2 fields anyway, it makes sense to just get that extra strip of land, you know, usable. Let's get positioned. That should do it, I think. Yep, there we go. That's enough of an overlap to make sure that we're definitely going to get all of the last bit of field 24, and also because we're starting on field 23, we'll continue all the way along down to the end and then turn around. We just need to make sure the truck is not going to be in the way. I don't think he will be, but just err on the side of caution. Let's turn this around. Park it up just here for now. There we go. And there we go. Yeah, she's going to carry on all the way down here. And then he'll turn around and carry on working on field 23. Beautiful. Now let's get back to our cultivating. So there is definitely something wrong with this little corner, and I don't know what it is, but for some reason the AI just does not like this corner. I had a little patch, as you can see, that little change in colour there, where oilseed radish wasn't planted. And now it's doing the same here. Oops, I actually need to turn this thing on. For some reason it just didn't want to plant this little section here either. So I'm not entirely sure why this tiny little box at the end of this part of the field doesn't want to get seeded, but yeah, for whatever reason it doesn't. So just quickly manually correct that and then get the seeder back underway again. There we go. So that bit's seeded. Let's get this lined up. Looks to be pretty good. And hire the worker. had a few people asking me if I plan on using the Big M on this farm as well, and the answer is yes, I do want to use a Big M on this farm. I'd love to, but it's just so expensive, $289,000, that at the moment it's just way out of our budget, way out of our price range. But hopefully if we can get a nice big yield of soybean and a nice really good price to go along with that, that'll at least put us quite close. We're going to be talking a price getting up towards $2,000 per 1,000 litres. I mean, it's not going to be exactly that, but we can get a price that's right up there at around 18, maybe 19,000 or 1,900 per 1,000 litres. Then that means if we can get 100,000 litres off those two fields there, which I don't think we will, but if we can get that, that's 2/3 of the money we need right there. And then hopefully the rest can come from cows and maybe selling something else as well. We can always excuse me, my voice is just going there. We can always maybe look at selling some of our livestock as well. We've got all those pigs, up to what, 144 when we looked earlier. Might even have gone up again since then. I doubt it, but you never know. But all of those pigs, we can sell off a chunk of those. I'd rather not do that because obviously they are our fertilizer producers, both solid and liquid. So I don't really want to slow down our production of a much needed resource. If anything, I want that to speed up. So probably aren't going to do anything with the pigs other than just keep breeding them until we get at least around 250, maybe more than that. Maybe we might even go for a whopping 500 now. 500 pigs. I'm not entirely sure where I plan on stopping with the animal numbers. I think pigs will probably breed to around 250 and then sell a load off and then start again with the pigs. We'll see. But initially I'm just going to let them keep breeding and breeding and breeding, and then any that we do sell will probably go straight into buying cows. I want to get my sort of dairy herd up to around 500 if I can. 250 will be a good start, but if I can get them up to around 500, I think that'll comfortably be enough slurry and manure production that we won't really have to worry about pigs from that point on. I mean, 500 again is probably a little bit too many, if I'm honest. Maybe 250 in terms of numbers of cows is a better option. But I'm just thinking about how much slurry and manure we're going to need to produce. Oh, that thing's fallen down again, look. Ah, I don't know why it keeps doing that. It's driving me crazy. Oh dear. Yeah, I don't know why that happens. I really don't. But yeah, going forward, obviously we're going to have a lot more than just these sort of 5 fields that we have right now, and we're going to need to be able to kind of produce enough slurry and manure to be able to deal with those fields. So we can't go too overboard with the cows, because we'll end up just earning an insane amount of money off the milk, and also we'll end up in just generating insane amounts of slurry and manure. But at the same time, we can't underdo it, because otherwise we'll never have enough fertilizer for our fields. So let's see, let's open up the map. And where was it we were going to go next? I think field 11 was probably the one I was going to look at next, and then fields 25 and 26. And just get this nice strip along here through the middle of the map. Get all of those sort of owned and done. We'll see how it all shakes out in the long run. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure where we're going to end it in terms of numbers. We're up to 113 now. We're producing a few thousand litres a day from our cows, and less than that with the pigs. We've got a lot of solid manure building up, or starting to build up. So we are going to need a solid manure run on our farm at some point soon. In fact, actually, one of our fields is a little bit low. Where's our Terra variant? There it is. Let's go get our manure spreader. And let's actually put a row of manure down. This is also going to be a good test to see just how quickly the manure in our spreader runs out, because I haven't really done that much in terms of manure spreading in Farming Sim 17. But I do remember in 15 that those spreaders used to just run out insanely quickly, and I get the feeling it's going to be the same this time around as well. So yeah, we'll do a quick test, because field 12, as you saw, needs an extra stage of fertilization to kind of catch up to field 10. So I'm not sure why that doesn't have. I think we just cultivated that field rather than applying digestate to it. I honestly thought that we'd actually fertilized that field, so it should have been at the same state as field 10, but for some reason it's a stage behind in terms of fertilizer. So yeah, we'll go and spread some manure on that field. It'll be a good test to see how quickly the tank empties, and it'll also enable us to kind of plan where we're going to build a temporary manure hut. Because there's no point having manure as a fertilizer if we're going to have to keep running all the way back up here to top up every 2 minutes. We're going to need somewhere down near our main farm to actually store manure for top-ups. So this will be a nice, good scouting opportunity, as well as a good sort of capacity test and speed test. By doing field 12. So we need to pull in just here. Our manure spreader is parked up in one of those bays over there. So we're also going to need to break out the Puma so we can actually load this thing. Oh, and that canola, by the way, that we harvested, it's now in that silo. I brought it all up here as well, so it's up here ready for our cows. For our pigs when they need a top-up. There is our manure spreader. So let's get that connected. There we go. There is our manure pile. So let's jump into the Puma. I'm going to need a weight for counterbalance on this, I think. And there's our manure fork. Almost out of fuel on this. Let's quickly top that up. Only 70 odd litres left. There we go. Do keep your comments coming in, by the way. I have been reading all of your comments across all the different farms and videos that I put out. It's always great to hear from you guys. I love getting your feedback. Sometimes you'll point things out that I've completely missed. Sometimes you'll pull me up on something if I make a mistake, and I'm always happy to be corrected if I do screw up somewhere and say something that's not factually correct. I'm more than man enough to hold my hand up and say, yeah, I screwed up, I'm sorry. I've never ever claimed to be an expert in all things farming, and so I will, from time to time, just naturally make mistakes. But please do feel free to correct me if I do make a mistake on something. Right. I'm not actually sure what the total capacity of that spreader is either. We're dumping on the ground, aren't we? Ugh, damn it. That was careless. See if we can scoop that up without having to move the Terra variant. This might be a bit tricky. Got most of it. I'll have to move it. Let's do that now. I can also check on the capacity as well. We're at what, 2,300 litres, and that's 11%. So it looks as though we've got a capacity of around about 20,000 litres or so. If I park just there. There we go. That'll make it a little bit easier. Be square on as well. Missed quite a bit. From a 3,500 litre bucket or scoop, we managed to dump a third of that on the floor. That's better. That's more like it. I have to say, you know, it took a little while to get used to the first time I used the CSZ tool with this, you know, camera that focuses on the implement itself, but I do actually quite like it. It does make jobs like this much, much easier when you can shift the focus of the camera onto the tool rather than the vehicle it's attached to. Sometimes it's not so easy. Sometimes, like if you're, like when I'm doing the orchard and I'm putting manure on those trees, I find it easier not to use this camera setting. But for loading a trailer like this, I think it's an absolutely fantastic little, you know, tool to have. It's, you know, the camera mounted, effectively focused on this device, on this implement. It makes it so much easier to check, you know, my height against the item that I'm loading into, like this. So much easier. You can definitely see exactly where you are, you know, emptying and tipping. This might be the last scoop that we need. We're looking pretty full. No, it all went in, so there's room for another one then, maybe, or at least part of another one. And there we go, we're full. So let's just clamp that down so we don't lose any. Engine off. Let's jump in back into the Terra variant. Beacons on. Time to make our way over to field 12. I will see you when we get there. Oh, as we're driving along here as well, you may remember that I cut that field there. You can see it's actually looking pretty sparse now. That grass pasture there. All of that grass I ended up tedding, turning into hay, and then loading back into the forage silo. We'd used up quite a bit of hay making all that TMR, so I just wanted to kind of replenish that a little bit. The grass that we cut at the end of the last episode as well, that's down by the BGA, is still cut. I'm going to do a double cut on that before I then sort of, you know, start, you know, rowing that up, and that's going to start going into the BGA itself, so we can start getting a silage run going. But that is where I would love to have the big M for, to make work on field, on that sort of grass field down below the BGA down there. Really sort of speed through the mowing down there. That'll really help with silage production, being able to mow and row ridiculously quickly. Alright, here we are at field 12. Now, because this is a test, I want to make sure that we're not wasting anything. So I'm actually going to get a worker to do this for me while I watch and see exactly where it is. I don't actually know the working width of this. Let's get a rough idea of where we need to position ourselves. Working width is 20 meters. Well, that's quite wide. So I'm guessing probably about there, maybe. Yeah, that's a pretty good guess. That's pretty much bang on. So let's see. It's going down pretty quick, isn't it? Look at that. We've gone a little way in, and that's 2,000 litres already. Wow. This thing's just spitting it out like crazy. Yeah, we are definitely going to need a manure storage area down here on the farm somewhere. And I've got a good idea what building to use. I'm thinking a slow haul extendable would be a great little choice. Ah, so the worker is missing those little edges there. We'll have to clean up after him when he's done. But one pass there used up nearly 4,000 litres. I mean, our capacity on this is, back in here, 19.7. So we used 3,500 litres on that first pass. And this is a small field. This is the smallest field that we have, field 12. You can see it's smaller than field 24. And again, it's just not doing those last little bits on the edges, but we've used up over 6,000 litres in just 2 passes. So we're not even going to get this field done, which is, I kind of expected that, really. It's kind of cool to see this in operation, though, spraying that muck out. See if we can get really close. Yeah, see, some you can actually see the spreaders. You can see the blades there. It's not, no, they're not spinning right now, obviously, but you know they'll start spinning, and then you won't see them. They'll just disappear. It's not like some of the other spreaders where you'll see these huge. These have like rotating discs at the bottom. Others tend to have sort of rotating columns going up the back edge. So, for example, the Joskin Tornado and the Stroutman and the Brochard, they all have, you know, sort of towers that go at the back and spit out through the middle. This one has, you know, a little bit of a different look. I quite like it though. There you can see the other side. You can see those big teeth on those wheels there. See if I can get a good camera angle. You would not want to put your hand in there. You'd lose everything through that. If you remember, those in the UK will have definitely seen it. Those in America kind of saw, you know, the clip popping up in various different, you know, farming groups. Top Gear put a car through one of these things, and it just shredded the car. You just saw bits of bodywork flying out the back of it. I think it was the John Deere muck spreader that they were using in that particular segment there. But yeah, you just saw they dropped melons in it, then they put a shed in it, and then they put a car in it, and it just chewed all of them to shreds. Even the car just got ripped to pieces. Watching the engine block go flying out the back of it was just something else. So how much have we managed to get done? Because we're about to run out. About half the field. Let's just quickly tidy up these little edges. As best we can with the what little manure we have left. Helper O. Oh, helper, is that O or Q? I think that's helper O is finished now. I don't know if that's this helper. I think it might be. Oops. Did not do a very good job of covering that bit there. Still missed a bit. There we go. Can I get the other side done as well? I don't think I've got enough left to do all the bits on the other side, but we'll try. We might do it. Seems to be easier if I go in this way. $96 litres left. Can I get it all? Can I get everything covered? Possibly. If I'm lucky. Just look at that. 7 litres of manure left. Alright, let's close the back up. Let's take this back up and get it topped up again. Come back, finish this field off. And then I just need to figure out exactly where on the farm we're going to get the manure transported to. And then I guess this spreader attachment is going to live down on the main farm as well. Something to think about, I think. Herein lies the big problem with manure, is the fact that just 2 trips and we've almost completely emptied our bunker here. Yes, we've been dipping into this a little bit to do some fertilizing on our orchard, but no, not by much. So if our smallest field has pretty much depleted our entire solid manure supply, that's not good. Yeah, we definitely need to be able to produce a lot more. Obviously we've got some more there with the pigs, and our pigs haven't, and cows for that matter, haven't been producing solid manure anywhere near as long as they have slurry, because they've only just recently had straw. So that's a big sort of factor to take into consideration as well. But yeah, definitely going to need to up the production of both slurry and manure, which simply means we need bigger numbers for both cows and pigs at this stage. We simply do not have enough of either animal producing enough of either byproduct to sustain our fertilization goal right now. Well, that's us completely out of time for another episode. I'm going to try and do at least 1 episode a week. As I said, time is very precious at the moment with just so much stuff going on that I just don't know if I have enough time to do more than 1 episode a week. I will try, but I can't make any guarantees on that. I'm going to get this refilled, get our corn seeded off camera, and then, you know, when you come back, it'll be the start of a new day. We'll be able to cultivate the radish into the ground, plant our sunflowers, and maybe start fertilizing away on our soybean as well. So thanks for watching. I am Jim Bob, and I will catch you back with some more American Midwest very soon.